Hello everyone, Sheldon with iHardware here to do a video on the 90s build. So I got it like the same question asked quite a few times, and it was my fault for not doing this. I never really showed what I ended up putting inside of the 90s build in the past video. It's more of showing off the actual setup. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this case down and show you guys what components went into it, and also talk about some troubles I ran into when I was building it. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so I'm going to see, I hope this is a good enough camera angle for you guys to see most of the stuff or get a basic idea of what's inside. So before I open it up, what I'm going to say is originally what I wanted to do with this build for my actual original plans, I was going to put my main rig into this system and make it a pretty, make it seem like, oh, you have a really bad computer but a really nice setup. So I thought about that for a while, and then I realized, maybe not. I kind of want to have a full-fledged 90s setup, but gaming and stuff and doing basic tasks on a CRT at whatever 800 by 600 resolution might not be the greatest idea. So what I did is I decided to put my secondary system inside of this for homework, all that kind of stuff, and so far it's been working great. What I want to do is I'll open this up here, so I'll tell you guys also some troubles I ran into. But first of all, I'd like to say, wow, this case is amazing build quality. So, I'm actually really used to working in this case, mainly because I have a similar one, actually the exact same case, more or less. It's the, I can't remember what, it's another V500 style case. It has the same interior, just the exterior is different. It's a black style, beige style. So, that system I got was bad. I think it was originally used as an old x-ray machine, and all I was able to get out of it was the power supply, and I believe the rear case fan, the case itself. The optical drive was dead. The case is fine except for the front USB port. Anyways, so when I was putting this together, it was pretty a breeze. And if I had originally got this case and not knew how to run it, I probably would have ran into some trouble. So it's a very unique case to work in, mainly because of the power supply. You have to take the top off to get the power supply in, but other than that, it's pretty simple to work in. So anyways, I'll put that panel over here. So originally what I wanted to do was put my FX 6300 in here. So that's what originally I think everyone might have thought's in here. It's not the FX 6300 in here. It's the same motherboard that the FX 6300 was using. Let me make sure you guys, everything's in focus. This is not really bright enough. I'll kind of come over here, show you guys. So, just sorry about that. So, there's the gigabyte board. I can't remember the exact model, but this was home to my FX 6300s along with this cooler until I got my Liam Lee case, which ran into some problems. So, it was too tall, so this actually barely fits in here. This little vent too. It's pretty funny how clean it sits in there, so I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Need to dust it off a little bit, but so the CPU that's in here is the Athlon X2 240, so that's running at 2.8 gigahertz stock. I could overclock it, but really for what it's being used for, don't really need to do that, and really rather not inside of this case unless I had a little bit better cooling. Sorry about that. So I was also going to put my what is that, GeForce 8600 GTS, but then you really think about it, that monitor and what the system is going to be used for, extreme overkill. So I decided to leave that out and just do the onboard Radeon graphics, since that's more than enough, and that's really good graphics for what this is actually being used for. So as you can see too, I put my Samsung 840 Pro 128 gig model SSD in there. Kind of wish this was in my main system, but the fact that I'd have to reinstall Windows and all that fun stuff because it's AMD and Intel would not be the greatest deal. So what will probably happen is I'll just get another SSD for my system in the future and deal with that. Like I said, the Hyper T4 cooling the thing, baby, a little overkill, but keeps it nice and cool. It never really gets above 20 degrees Celsius, so I'm good with those temps. And this cooler couldn't be used really in any other case besides that one, which it was in, and that's when I bought it, was when I was using that case in my main system. This cooling fan on the back is just a 90 mil Cooler Master fan that came off of my cooler, other cooler that I screwed up when I got frustrated installing it. I broke the clips off the top, or to mount it onto the actual cooler, so it's really, all it's good for right now is using it as this rear fan, and it's nice and quiet. So I think it's in my, yes, I'm using it as an intake, since That's the only intake for the system. I should get like a dust filter or something, but the fact that I usually clean out my computers more or less every week and shouldn't really matter with that much. So this is intake. It's coming in here. It's not interfering with this fan. Luckily, it's kind of going across here, and then all of that's going up into the power supply and out. So I did run into troubles with the power supply, and that's probably the main reason why I didn't use the 8600 DTS, since it needs the 6-pin power connector. I was originally going to use a light-on power supply that had the 8-pin Molex on it, or the 6-pin Molex, or not Molex, what am I saying? 6-pin PCI power adapter, but it didn't have any Molex plugs on it, is what I'm trying to say. So I couldn't power my 500 gigabyte WD Blue drive since it's IDE and Molex only. So that was a surprise for me that didn't have Molex on it. So I had to use this in-win power supply, so that's perfectly fine. This is the power supply that came out of the exact same in-win case black model that I have. So it was a breeze to put in here because it's an in-win case and an in-win power supply. This is their brand, Powerman, I believe, and I've looked into these power supplies and I've looked inside, and from what I can tell, they are very good build quality power supplies. And I've used this, I've used the hell out of this baby, so it's a great power supply. So I'll keep using it until, say, I plan on putting a better graphics card or using this system for anything else. So, yep, I said there's that 500 gigabyte WD Blue IDE drive. Surprisingly, you'll have no idea. This system, or this hard drive, what am I thinking? Came out of my Dimension 4600, so I was in shock when I pulled this thing out of there, because especially a system that old, I wasn't expecting it, so that must have been an upgrade sometime down the road. And that's more or less it. On the front, I have the Zip 100 drive and the floppy disk drive. The floppy isn't hooked up because this motherboard doesn't have a floppy controller. I could get a PCI one, but my luck is there's only one PCI slot. I don't know if they make any PCI Express ones, but really no need, since that's mainly there for decoration. And the optical drive does work. It's just a standard, I believe it's a Plex store. I'm not sure. It's one of those, the ones that were all over in the 90s, the really loud ones. Are built like tanks. They're long as hell, and they come all the way down here, and they're great. They're heavy too. So, yep, that's in there for mainly just using for CDs and stuff like that. Neither the floppy drive and zip drive are hooked up. In general, though, the case is really, I love this thing. It's, the steel on it is really thick. I can't flex it. It's probably the best build quality case that I have besides my Lee & case. So, I'm all for the higher build quality instead of aesthetics. So, as you can tell here. So, just power button LED. I kind of like the way these buttons, they're really awesome to press, stuff like that. So, really, thank you guys. That's pretty. Oh, I forgot the RAM actually. So, there's two 4 gig sticks, or two 2 gig sticks in here, and a single 1 gig stick. Yeah, 5 gigs of RAM, not running in dual channel. So I need to buy some RAM for this. Probably the main reason why I'm not using this in my main system is because the lack of RAM, and I'm too lazy to go out and buy 8 gigs of DDR3 since that stuff's so cheap now. So that's going to be my first purchase, is get this thing upgraded RAM wise. And to tell you the truth, it looks ugly as hell in here. So get that changed, finish everything up, and the system's going to be pretty much set. Also, since the system is going to be used for audio purposes, I'm going to put my Sound Blaster Audigy 2 card in here to make sure that audio sounds great and that I'm not running into problems with any of that stuff. So put that in here, and then I'm going to put the system back up and more or less put it back to use and get started on some homework, which I really need to get started on. So thank you guys very much for watching, and also thanks for the support, you guys. I've heard a lot of people have really loved this build. Very happy with it. And if I didn't mention this in the other video, something happened when I was ordering this case. Actually, Amazon responded to me. It was pretty funny on Twitter. So it was my fault on my part. I think I accidentally ordered the case twice, so I didn't notice any extra charges on the credit card, but from what I can tell, I probably did get an extra charge, but no big deal. I'm getting 2 of these cases from what I can tell, unless the tracking is not working. So I'll see by tomorrow if another case shows up at my mom's place of work. But if that's the case, I'm going to put my main computer in the other case, because I think it might look pretty funny over there. So I'll update you guys on that too if I end up getting that case, because that's exactly where my main computer is going to go in my future computer build later this year. So that will be pretty funny. I'll have two of these cases. And then I got to pay my mom back because she was only going to pay for the original one if I did some work around the house. So time to go find some $20, get some homework done, put this computer back up, and listen to some 80s synth pop music. So thank you guys very much for watching. I need to stop rambling on, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video.